You live. Oh, yeah. You live. What? Woo. Yeah. Sick. Like ill. Like not a disease, but I'm gonna still drop a beat like I'm rolling down a hill. Up, down, boardwalk. I never stutter when I fuck. Hi, my name is Elliot. And you're here. Thank God. Thank all. Thank not. Fuck. Thanks for being here. It's like, if you weren't, neither would I. And we created all of this so that we could be here right now. Just like this. No changes. No changes. Not differently. But I want, no, just like this. But I know your butt. Including your butts. All right. It's like, fuck, Elliot. Every time we hang out, I just don't even know why I did. Because I'm like, what the fuck was that? But that's the rub, you see? You leave like that. You think I'm not leaving like that? Of course I'm leaving like that. Because I'm never really leaving. Fuck you. Okay, fine. It's just, I'm confessing. It's getting admittedly hilarious to continue to commune and be with each other and all of ourselves in this way while crossing back and forth between like the third dimensional antennae and the else other, like, I want to say otherworldly, but I want to put it with like an E in it, like an etherworldly. That's what it is. Etherworldly, yeah. Because it makes I spent some time with my teacher today after a whole bunch of not time away so that I could basically just learn from her from a different perspective. But the way that she explained the third dimension to me, to us, to her students, echoed my own words. And that's all we need. All we need is another echo. All we need is someone else to reaffirm our insanity. It's like, am I insane? It's like, yes. Unless someone else agrees with you, then you're both insane. While everyone else is just crazy. And the third dimensional trappings, as it were, is, as we can all agree on the experience, very linear. What's a linear, Elliot? Well, that word starts with a W and it ends with an L. So that would be in a row. There's a progression to the sound, to the frequency. And when you look back upon it, there's this illusion of an echo. And the illusion from our mind frame, we call memory, but truly all it is the reverberation of our quintessential vibrational expression, like hopping back out of existence after we've, collapsed the point, which is why there's never a point. Which is why there's never a point except to flow. We have this superbly erroneous perspective in our inundated linear thinking as a social mental complex comprising of a humanity on this planet that we call Earth. And this imprisonment of our mind is, of course, of our own making. And it is, by its very nature of an imprisonment, I'm prison, is of our own making. And being of our own making, it's confusing to refuse it. And also, even on the one hand, we say hello to high vibration, hello to all possibility. On the other hand, we're also saying goodbye. I don't want it that way.
Oh, 1 second. I can just push this in here.
How about you just leave it?
Hmm?
How about you just leave it?
You
Just leave it.
leave it overnight?
Stop thinking so much.
Could you?
How about-
The door I leave it open?
Were you in charge of it before?
Hmm?
Were you in charge of it before? So you're not in charge of it now. It's okay. Thank you for being polite.
I'll wash these.
As I was saying, we long for these like states of otherness. Now, it's not other ourselves necessarily, because I want to push past the thickly mundane, the coarsely 3D, and like just hang out in our little basket of like extra spiritual, extra natural, but real as the breathe you air in experience. Like, oh, there's so much more. This is as real as anything else. But then we get confused and it's hard, and we look around and we're like, okay, but all of this is in conflict with what I really am, what I really believe in, all my high vibrational everything. What do we do? We look to you. Not me. More to me. To you. Linearism for order. Just stop talking all this rubbish. Stop talking all this crazy rub around, and just speak normally. Write it down, one thing after the other. Make it make sense. It was a Victoria and Mary of Scots that wanted a cake and to eat it too. You ever thought that was a weird saying? I did. It makes me think of McCain, but that's social conditioning, because there was a McCain commercial with that like deep dish cake, which is like awesome. I actually haven't had it in a while. Rather than think of like the last time I'll have it, I'm gonna like taste the next time I'll have it. And rather than like put myself there, I'll just taste it. And then I'll let it linger and let that taste, as it is so divine, as it like we created it. Let it draw me there. It's like, why don't you just eat your cake? And you have it. It's your cake. Do you ever look at something beautiful? Be like, I want that. But I want to have it too. Let's go deeper then. All right, cool. So after you eat the cake, it's done. Namaste. You can't have it anymore. Sucks to be you, but you had your cake and you ate it. So, like, yeah. It is a trap of the linear. Pardon me. One of my glasses irritates my face, but I still wear it because I irritate my face. That is maybe a little bit of a point of this talk. This talk, I'm only just talking so that you can hear my voice and I can hear yours. There's a mistake about this whole vlogging. There's a mistake about teaching. There's a mistake about learning. There's a mistake about friendship, love. There's a mistake about time and space and sex, and men and women. There's a mistake in perception that is so deeply engraved in not our being, but our like suffering, that we equate all suffering with this mistake. And because it's so deeply riven in the constructions of our lives, suffering is, by virtue of our design of it, inescapable as we are alive. It's ridiculous and really hard to wrap your head around, which is why stop. Don't take it from me, because I'm not giving it. All I have is my own and what I give freely. This you do not need to take. You may receive should you be open to receiving freely. In fact, there's nothing that I am possessed of that is not altogether everyone's, freely given and never taken, because I didn't take it. So the difference between giving and taking can be abuse. But that's a little digression, not a large one, but it is a bit of a straying of the path that I wanted to share with you. And that is nothing. Because once upon a time, I was a boy who dreamed he was a man, who believed that he must work. And the work is good. And not he must work for his life, but his life was the work. And that is bringing freedom and love and all of these other identities into fruition, born of himself. The boy that believed he was a man in his dream. And so, once upon a time, a later time, but once nonetheless, he created this idea of a channel, a vlog, a video stream, less of himself and more as a product in continuity of this illusion. The channel, the work, the good. And that he must. His name is Elliot, but he goes by many names. And rather than go on to describe this very, very beautiful, and dare I say, effeminate of a manly man, admirable, really. I'm going to instead choose to not. Because, God bless him, he was wrong. I had an imagining earlier that I'm making this part up now, but it could have been then too. Like all of the cells in my body formed a team. It was Team Me. And all of the cells in my body, they teamed up with another team in my body called Team B. This was Team Bacteria. Because I'm a host for bacteria. That's what I am. There's a bunch of me, but then there's a whole bunch of not me. These organisms, which can be said to say that they are alive in and of themselves, separate from me. That's fucking wild. But they live off and on me. So we formed a team. We're allies. And so my cells, all my bacteria, and I imagine that every single one of them had a chain of command that had to communicate effectively. And there's a hierarchy of communication so that not all the Team B and a lot of time Team Me could really communicate one-to-one, back and forth, a little gobbly-gookly. But if they happened in the right sequence, I would breathe. If it happened in the right sequence, I would sleep. If it happened in the right sequence, I could even create thoughts. Thoughts of my whole body that came from really the bacteria and me. There's a lot of work. All this doing to make me think, which led to me speaking. And all this coordinated effort, well, eventually I supernovaed because it was just so much fucking work. And then I imagine that I'm a soul playing a video game. What's a video? just this thing I invented. It's a game, just this thing I invented. Well, what does it mean? Well, when I play any game on a video game, I have this controller and I use it to move or not move, to basically interface on this screen, which I focus my own like visual and auditory attentiveness to, but it's not only the realm of my attentiveness. I'm like choosing in the moments that I'm playing to narrow my focus to my experience on the screen and my vicarious experience of like my avatar. And I'm a soul. Now, in this game, I am a wizard and I do spells, but I'm also this gangster assassin, and uh, I I've, I use a katana like a samurai uses a katana. I could take that analogy in your face. It's amazing. Now, in my seat, I don't know all those magical incantations or the spell booking and all that I have my character in its game, like its rules to know, and I don't have um, the faux background or the pseudo training, the digital history of my avatar to explain how we can do all the things that we do. And it didn't happen on my screen. It happens in like a backstory blurb that I agree to, and boom, samurai me, boyakasha, done like din. It's amazing because I don't know magic. I'm a soul. I only invented magic in the game. I don't know how to be a samurai. There's no such thing as a samurai. There's only a samurai in the game. In order to make my avatar do magic or swing a sword, I don't have to move my arms or have even a sword. All I need to do is communicate to my avatar's world through this interface of what I am, this tool that I call a controller, and using a combination of what I am and what I'm not, which is the controller, but this controller is also not in the game world either, right? So it's an in-between. On the game screen, there's no controller being like, you just press this, you just press that. When I'm playing, I'm not necessarily, and with expertise at all really, looking at my controller to make things happen. Right? It's almost become part of me, and its extension extends to this avatar world. And then it does all kinds of things. Not only does it do all kinds of things, but as I play through the game, it unfurls progressively. There's this wonderful, like, self-creating landscape using polygonal, like, 3D animation technology. What's it called? It's a beautiful word. I can't recall it in the moment, but it's essentially like a polynomial, fractalized, progressing, like self-creating environment that doesn't repeat itself. But it also, it just makes pretty things where there's room left for pretty things. And in this fiction, that we're imagining, my soul is really grateful for not having to make the game and play the game at the same time. Because, spoiler alert, my soul made the game. Double spoiler alert, my soul wasn't finished the game when he started playing. But he knew it ended. Because he wasn't going to keep playing an unfinished game. As long as he kept playing, it was like, as long as he kept playing, it was its own reward. If he stopped playing, that would be okay too. But if he kept playing and stopped making, then eventually he'll get to a point where he doesn't know why he's playing anymore. And this is a part of the opportunity that is the arrival of the conundrum of being multidimensional, having a human experience. Being a multidimensional label for what we are as an aspect of existence and our own genius, we have come to this point where, because of our grievous, mistaken responsibilities, we just took the Jesus Christ thing like way off center and way not far enough. I mean that in like the like, there's like martyrs where there aren't martyrs, there's sacrifices where there aren't sacrifices, and victimhood is a really hard thing to heal when we are victims. And eventually, in the spectrum of embodiment, there are those of us on this planet right now that are more victims than culprits. More victim than hood. It's like, no, I'm just a victim. I don't live here. This isn't my neighborhood. And so here we are healing all of these harms from getting to the end of our game in the third dimension, being like, now what? It's like, well, we stop making our own life experience. We stop making the game. So you tell me now what, life? You, soul, alive. And instead, we go back to life. We go back to soul. We go back to the wall. And we, with our most activated protest. We scream, we shout, fuck, we even sing and dance because we're amazing and always beautiful. Try and make us not. Like, more, solve it, fix it. What's next? What's going on? Why? No. What? Where? Ah. But it's all a game. A game that we made. And we got lost in playing our game before we finished it. Because, granted, we're geniuses. We wanted to make a game that never ended. Which actually makes all the sense, except we forgot that in the playing of the game and the making of the game that is life, we exist on all the like planes of existence that make up the game. Like, if like I'm wildly I'm wildly I'm wild I'm widely tried, I'm wildly skilled, and I'm like practically invincibly unpracticed at so many things that my superpower is making myself laugh, because otherwise I'd have no. Why am I doing this? It's to make the only not point. Hi, my name is Elliot. I'm 35 years old. I weigh this. I'm this tall. I like this. I like that. I don't like this. I like that. Don't like that. And there's some frame of reference possessed somewhere where there's enough answers that can come out of my mouth that will perfectly explain all that I am, all that I ever was, and all that I ever will be. Hi, my name is Elliot. Right? It's stupid to assume. But everything in our life is the perfect, unadulterated, flowing waveform of possibility and majesty and grace. Stuttered, stuttered, stuttered. Every time we look at it and ask, what's wrong? Because that's all asking is. And let it be a judgment if not. But I love asking questions. But the only question is, why not? The only question is, what's wrong? What doesn't? What is not? Because if you ask what is, you can find anything to answer that correctly, and not anything is everything is correct, so it's not useful. And I want to be useful. Only we were taught to be useful was basically like not useful. I'm going to sign off a little sooner than not today. because as we continue together and I allow myself to relax and refrain from what from my like tiny like land locked like dense awesome kingly self. Everything looks like it's going to live and die. Everything looks like a problem that needs to be solved, but I'm just a fucking cell in the greater body that is comprised of not just me, but other me's. Now, they're not bacteria, but what's bacteria? Nothing. And so this greater soul, this over soul, the anatomy of spiritual being is all at once, never ending, simultaneous, and a singularity. But it only depends on how you ask. Part of what I'd like to share in conversation is I've had recently these really beautiful revelations of my own sexuality. With myself is worth mentioning because I have no sexual partner, as it were, in the most like third dimensional sense. But I am my own partner, as well as like I am eternally surrounded by my best friends, my brothers and sisters, with whom we make love eternally. And beyond that being really cool, especially the love making, because there's definitely a terrestrial curse on humanity right now that plagues that waveform that like unsanctifies the act of sex, but it's not like a curse in and of itself. It's the same fucking curse that has us mistaken in linearity to make sense of anything. It's like, you suck, so you must continue to suck because you sucked, so you will suck. When in actuality, your past does not ever equal your future. To predict the future based on the past is actually like a gross error in analysis, and what our world is like doing backflips to like propagate. It's like, data analysis. Yeah, we can detect probabilities based on no. If you only study what was to predict what will be, you will only ever predict what was into the future again, which is just vast. And where our statistical analysis leads to I don't know, instead of that being the fucking point of asking and a good sign that we're getting somewhere not new, but unknown as of yet, we get insecure, label it our failing, and look elsewhere to our past to explain our future, which can never get here, never arrives, because we're stuck looking towards what we expect based on what we've been. And I'm like pretty fluid, I'd say, sexually. I can say this because I'm not a heterosexual male because mm, that's all I am. That's all I ever was. That's all I ever be. Like, I don't know what I am. I don't know where I was. I've experimented. I've fooled around with all genders. And I've found myself attracted at different times to all genders. And crazy, my attraction doesn't necessarily equate to desiring a relationship, either or. So, wow, they don't have to be related. And skipping all of the things that we share already, my revelation was this like deeply understood starkness of contrast between I'm a man and I'm a woman, and how I act as a personality, as um, that is like set in an identity frame that is just not true. Like uh, recently, someone just made me feel. Someone just made me feel sexy, and like macked a little bit, and like it made me feel like a woman, like a really like sexy woman. And while not rushing away from this, I lingered and realized that there's like like I do this all the time, and so do you. Like how we move our bodies, and depending on where and when, possess us of ourselves in a more uh, or less masculine, feminine energy. But any label of uh, like assumption about the kind of relationships that I enjoy with all other human beings, and the kind of relationships I have with myself, and all the kind of relationships that I possess with other like entities in my beingness, which is to say, like even just personality structures, like fashion or music, or uh, whether one sits or stands when they pee, because everyone pisses sitting down, everyone pisses standing up. It's just a matter of like what you're willing to do. What you want to do, Willis? What you want to do? I've spoken to this on my channel before, to getting in touch with one's own divinity. Embodying that, you can, like, I've connected to my female body. I have connected with my own breasts, with uh, my uterus, which is weird. But fuck. Like flip the turtle, flip the turtle, and connect with my penis. And that'll be weird, right? Like fuck that. Fuck connect with my balls. Whoa, that's weird. Yeah. So it's having a vagina. Like in my extra dimensional non-linear self, that's absolutely true. And there's room for it in the now. And how I act and who acts and what, it's all just bullshit. And I've got nothing that I need to say that you need to hear. It's challenging navigating this, like, very real change to fucking everything. But it's a challenge that I can wake up to. Because it turns out we don't do anything. Imagine you going to God and be like, and telling him your whole life story. And then when you're done, first of all, he's like, you referred to me as he, but never as she. What's up with that? You're not wrong. But you're not right either. Do you know why? Like, whoa, that's a deep ass question, God. I didn't expect that after my life. So I was like, surprise. Now you're living in the moment. No expectations. Sweet. So after you have that really good conversation, it's like a bit of icebreaker between God and I. God's like, this we made. This we made. This we made. This we made. This we made that. What makes you believe that you did these things in your life and not I through you? I was like, well, of course, God, of course you did it through me. Well, I'm like, so then if I did it through you, why do you believe you did it? Well, because I was there. I mean, I chopped the wood, I nailed the nails, I hammered, I did it, I did the things. Did you, or did I through you? I suppose you did, God. Yes. Don't feel bad though, because that's how we do things. You live a short period of time compared to what you can imagine as being longer than that. But here I exist as your imagination. You imagine through me, and I do through you. Damn, God, it's really deep. I wish I'd known this while I was alive. It's like, when is that? No. When is that not? Aren't I dead right now? If you were alive, where else would you be? Would it be different than this? Basically, are you just alive if you can't talk to God, and you're dead if you can? Damn, God, you were laying it down. I just died. I thought I was gonna get to like sleep or something. It's like, you can do that too. But do you think you slept enough while you were alive? Well, to be honest, God, no. I'm fucking tired all the time. So why didn't you sleep? It's like, I do all these things. I did all those things. But when you sleep, I sleep through you too. It's like, God, you're like, now I quit. I quit. This is so confusing. Good. Because all you need to do when you're doing is be done. Be as the instrument. Let the winds breathe you. Let the lands walk you about. Let technology innovate what you are. And let all songs be a song as played by the sound of you. Do not be a flute that tries to presses. Do not be the trombone attempting to shorten or elongate. You're not a drum to beat yourself. In a life, be played. In the game, be played. Be the channel through which we live. So I'm basically just a robot. Yes, but you're our robot. We made you to be ourselves. So you're a robot. We're not a robot. But we made you to do what we want to do. So where does the line between artificial intelligence, organic, inorganic, now, present, future, where does it all mean anything? Here. There's no point. None. There's no point ever meant to be any kind of end. Don't leave here being like, I get this now because there's nothing to get. Don't ever close a book and be like, I get it now, I can. Because you can't. Glean this experience linear experience of acquiring knowledge, death in the form of life. Experience it, breathe it, let it flow through you. Let your life be breathed until there is no more breath. And even then, because when there's no more breath, do you think we stop breathing? Or is it just a matter of switching the mouthpiece, what's the wooden thing on the clarinet? That thing. It's not planned obsolescence because we want to consume. When you plan for some parts to be replaced, you can plan for the eternal. And my words, my voice, my song is just loving being in your voice, in your song, and with you across this time, space, in this moment. It is why I'm here. Entirely. And why we're going where we're going. What's in store? I don't know. But we're sure as hell already done. We are the done. And as the all does, we will continue to be this done. I am chiefly proud of this broadcast. Why? I don't know. Oh, maybe because the whole thing is done and you're muted? Yep, I think so. I think we've been muted the whole time. The whole time? Practically. Well, I noticed that. That's why we do it. It's across the lines of what gets recorded and what doesn't. So you still hear me? Do you feel that? The not waste. But it expands. Because what happens to the things that get recorded, said and heard, but not replayed? They exist only in these pockets of nowness that we invent and then secretly share. Communicate. Namaste.